Welcome to Courageous Conviction. Remember that Jeff and I record each Saturday 5 episodes. So please hit the like button, subscribe so you catch all 5 episodes. We usually start out with one theme or topic. We have to go down a lot of rabbit holes to really understand it. Some things are more sensitive than others right now, what's going on in the world. So hit the like button, subscribe, and let's jump into this video. But now it seems to be we're just trying to appease everybody and live this principle of, hey, just survive it. If you look at General Conference, this last General Conference, I have to be honest with you, I was a little disappointed because it was like, hey, we're just preparing you for a terrestrial glory. Live a terrestrial law and you'll be okay because you don't understand how to live a celestial law. We're going to teach you how to live a terrestrial law and hope that you're going to grab that desire to think celestial. That's what I heard in so many of the talks. And that was disappointing to me. And I had a hard time listening to that because we used to be the ones that, hey, we raised the bar, we raised the standard. And now all of a sudden, we as Latter-day Saints are the ones that are lowering the standard, and other Christian faiths seem to be raising or upholding that standard. I know the Lord's going to correct things. And that's what I want to say here. Hold on. Read the Book of Mormon. That's your doctrine. That explains who the secret combinations are. And that explains to you how you can get through it and what's going to come, or at least what's coming, so you know how to get through it. And you pay attention to podcasts like this one and others, you're going to find that way through it. Prepare yourself. So let's keep going. Let's go ahead with the video.
How prepared are the saints? Well, there was a study in 1959. This was reported in the Improvement Era, the church's magazine. And it stated that approximately 80% of our active Melchizedek priesthood holders do not have on hand the essentials that will preserve life for 1 year. So this was an analysis of a 1-year food storage. They didn't give data that I could find on 3 months, 6 months, whatever. They were just looking at the council at the time was have a year food storage. Hey, how many of you have been obeying that council? Lo and behold, only about 20%. Okay, so 80% do not have on hand the essentials. About a decade and a half later, we're in 1975. This is now Bishop Peterson of the presiding bishopric, who mentioned a study from the Utah State University on this issue, looking at the food storage provisions kept by Latter-day Saints. And they noted in that study that only 18% of families had a year's supply of grains, which kind of matches that 20-ish% before. 18%. And about 30% had a 2-month supply of food. The remainder had little or none. So the remainder is half. Half of saints had little or none, and this is in the mid-70s, right at the time where Elder Perry is remarking, because it was in 1981, where he's saying, here in the 70s, we had all these people leaning on the church, right, for help. So half of saints at the time had little to nothing. 30% of them had about a 2-month food supply, and then 18% had a year's supply of grains, right? It only said grains. That was a big emphasis early in the church, was the focus on grains. And of course, technology and food, freeze drying and everything has become far better. So now there's a much more robust opportunity for a year's supply of food. But at the time, it was this heavy emphasis on grains. So many people have been ignoring counsel and have no food storage. All right, so let's dig into the data. So as I said, this is my 3rd or 4th time having this calling. And in my last ward, about, 12, 13 years ago, we did a survey of the whole state. We did a block captain drill and all this kind of stuff. And as part of that, we were going around door to door asking people how much food storage they have, if they had 72-hour kits and so forth, trying to at least get a little bit of data for our community. Now, I lived at the time and still live in Lehi, Utah. So mind you, this is Utah County, Mormon corridor, right? You would think that if anyone in the Mormon diaspora across the country or across the world is heeding counsel, that it would be these saints, living at the feet of headquarters or whatever. And so in a moment, we can talk about the extrapolation or the inference here. If I've got little bits of data from my wards, how relevant is this to kind of the broader church, to your own ward and the experience based on where you live? So then I have that same calling. So now I just did a survey. In fact, we held this week, I held a Preparedness 101 evening for our ward. We had 40 or 50 people come, gave them all freeze-dried candy after. Now we're doing a group buy on some water barrels, and so I do a lot of group buys for our ward and community just to encourage people to stock up so that not everyone comes to me in an emergency knowing that I, have been preparing. So we do a lot of group buys and things just to encourage other people to take action. So I'm going to start first by sharing a little bit of data from my current ward that I just got this week, and then I'll show you from that last ward. So at least 2 data points of wards in Lehi, Utah. Infer from this what you will as to its accuracy and relevance for your ward, but here's the data that I concretely have and have obtained myself. Okay, so this chart, for those of you watching the video, you can see that this is the percentage of families in my current ward, how much food storage they have. If they could not go to the grocery store, how long could they survive on the food in their home? And as you can see, for those of you viewing the video version, half of people have 1 month or less. This actually matches really well Bishop Peterson in 1975 saying that half of the saints at the time had little to nothing. And then if we go to 2 to 3 months, we're looking at about 20-ish%, 4 to 6 months, 13%, same for 7 to 12 months, and then about like 5% of families in my current ward had a year's supply of food or more. So half of the families have essentially nothing. Part of the challenge here when asking people this is you kind of get the overconfidence of like, oh yeah, we're good, we have plenty, right? And some of it might be spoiled, some of it might be like way too expired, maybe it wasn't stored properly. So it's quite a different thing if you actively and actually had to live on the food. It's another thing to just kind of make this ballpark assumption or guess as to how long it would last. So I think these are generous.
So I'm going to wrap this up. I'll leave the video link down below. You can watch the rest of the video, but you're going to see the same study come out. In my experience in living in different countries and working in the stake and the positions I've had in the church, I've got to deal a lot with people, and I've always been a big advocate of preparation. I've always been a big advocate of scouting. I was a 6th district commissioners in BSA in our district for a number of years. I love the program because of its preparedness attitude. And I can truly see how the church just embraced that program and how we are lacking that right now in the church. I think this would clarify a lot of things right now in the church if we had a program like BSA for the boys and for the girls, right? Individually. And they can do stuff together too, as Mutual does, but we need to have individual things. Well, why? Well, not just the aspect of the feminine and the masculine roles, but let's talk about the actual knowledge. And I think that the knowledge, I have all those Boy Scout books for my kids and all the merit badge books. And with my daughter right now, who's turning 9, I've started her in this course I'm going to train her in preparing her. And that course is going to be all these different these manuals, these Boy Scout manuals. And I'm going to buy patches and so forth and award her as she gets certain areas and degrees of advancement. And I'm going to set a reward system. I thank you for being with us on Courageous Conviction. Remember, there's 5 episodes each week that we put out. We have to go down a lot of rabbit holes, so stay with us, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and don't miss tomorrow's episode on Courageous Conviction.